Hey guys, it's me, Halloween Dan, and today I'm doing a video that I've never done before. It's something completely out of my comfort zone and something completely new. So I'm not sure how good at it I'm going to be, but I've seen videos done by other YouTubers of this nature. It's something I always enjoy watching myself, so I thought I'd have a little go at this. Because today, what I'm hoping to be able to do with at least a degree of accuracy is make some predictions for what we might see in the upcoming season. And in particular, one firm that I am always very, very excited to see what they're going to bring into the UK, Costco. So let's just do this. I decided to make this video because there's not a lot to talk about when it comes to Halloween stuff at the minute, which is unusual because at this time of year normally there's loads of different leaked images and new props being revealed left, right and centre. In the last few days we've seen Mad About Horror, a UK firm, showing a few of the items they're bringing to the UK this year, most of them Morris costumes. And most of them props we've seen before, though I do still like them, it has to be said. But apart from that, we've barely seen anything so far this year. America has seen a whole host of leaks and all kinds of different things in the very earliest part of the year, and then there's been almost nothing for the last couple of months. And the UK has seen even less than that. I mean, we've literally had maybe 2 or 3 props revealed that Palmer agencies, and also now these ones that Mad About Horror are bringing, but nothing new, nothing overly exciting. I know there's a long time yet to get to Halloween, but I usually by now, I've sort of seen a few things anyway, so I'm kind of a bit disappointed that we haven't seen more. But it always this time of year gets me thinking about what we might see, what I wonder what we're gonna see. And one firm in particular that I always hang on till the very last, before I make a final decision on any prop, is Costco. So I thought I'd put my cards down on the table. I'm not a betting man, but if I was, these are the things, or at least the sorts of things, I'm pretty certain we might see come out of Costco for 2023. So let's have a little look. So last year was a spectacular year for Costco UK. We saw a whole host of props come out that we'd never seen before, alongside some of its more sort of standard things that we'd seen for at least a couple of years. The first prediction of mine that I'm going to make for this year is less about new things and more about older things. I think that this year we might actually not see things like the Wailing Phantom or the animatronic Phantom that I actually have. I think it's been out in Costco a couple of years now. I'd be surprised if we saw it again this year. I think there are other animatronics too that they'll probably retire. One of which is a very popular item, but I don't think they're going to bring it out again this year, and there's a reason, and that is the banjo playing skeletons or the dueling skeletons. I have them, they're very popular, they come out every year. Last year they kind of rehashed them, gave them some new outfits. But they've been around now for 3, if not 4 years at Costco, and I think that they may have had their end, and there's a reason. And that reason is my first prediction. My first prediction for what we're going to see out of Costco this year is not the banjo playing skeletons, but the fiddler skeletons. If you saw my reaction to this last year, there was some fiddler skeletons that Costco brought out for the Australian market for some reason. No offence, Australia, but what? And everyone in the UK was kind of hopeful that at some point we'd see them guys get here, but they never did. They just stayed in Australia, and we got the same banjo playing skeletons we'd seen for the last 2, if not 3 years. I think that Costco this year will choose to bring those guys into the UK. It might not happen. They might just stick with what they know in the form of the banjo skeletons, but I've got a hunch, I've got a feeling that actually this could potentially happen. Also returning this year, I think we might see a return of the 12-foot mutant spider, which isn't an animatronic, it's just a very large prop. It was out in 2021 and then they didn't bring it out again last year. So I think that was a bit of a mistake. I think a lot of people kind of wanted that prop, so I think they might bring to store this year in particular. But now for something new. Now for things that we haven't seen Costco bring out anywhere. And I think these are the things that if I was a betting man, I would bet at least some money on these things or some version of these things coming to Costco. A lot of what Costco choose to bring into the UK is often based upon things that Morris Costumes have already produced. Last year we saw this with the 10-foot Reaper in particular, which had the same phrases, the same green chest. It just had the added addition of the servo motors in the neck and the waterproof outfit. But in every other way, really, a few details here and there, it was a very, very similar prop to the Morris Costumes 10-foot Reaper. So basing it on that, I started to think, what could we realistically see brought into the UK by Costco that is of this ilk, something similar or identical to what Morris Costumes would produce. Costco UK is also kind of renowned for being kind of more family friendly. A lot of the props it produces or brings into the UK are not on the terrifying end of the scale, they're sort of family pleasers. So with that in mind, my first prediction for the 2023 season is the sharply dressed skeleton. Now this guy is a bit of a fence sitter for me. He's not the best prop in the world. I kind of like him. I like the outfit. I like his movement of tipping the hat. A lot of the phrases he had were kind of Butler-esque. I reviewed him last year. He was an okay prop. I kind of liked him. But he fits very nicely into that sort of family-friendly vibe. Plus, Costco have a bit of thing about skeletons. They've always done loads of different skeleton props. Last year and the year before, we had the skeleton bride and groom props. They've always done posable skeletons. So I think a skeleton prop is probably a really good bet. And something like the sharply dressed skeleton, it sits very nicely within the same pattern we've seen come out of Costco before, like with the bride and groom skeletons. I have to say, he wouldn't be the most enthralling prop that I will see coming out of Costco, but I do think there's a good chance of him or something like him appearing on Costco's shelves this year. My next two predictions are slightly more exciting for me because they are pretty awesome props. They've been around now for at least 1 year for one and 2 years for another, and again they're Morris Costumes props. But I really, really like both of them, and again I think they fit this mould quite nicely. I think there is at least a chance that we might see something of this ilk come to Costco this year. My friend Haunted Skull helped me out on this. I was like, what do you think might come to Costco this year? And so we kind of had a little bit of a back and forth conversation about what might realistically appear and what might not. These two have kind of been mentioned, and I do think there's a good chance of it. So my second main prediction is for another Morris Costumes prop, the Cellar Dweller. The Cellar Dweller has been out for at least 2 years now. This will be its third year. And Mad About Horror brought it into the UK last year. I'm not sure that Costco would bring the exact same prop into the UK, but I think it would be very, very similar. And although the Cellar Dweller is a slightly more frightening prop in general, it kind of has a slightly darker edge to it, it still fits very nicely into this sort of not overly terrifying area of props that Costco tend to bring to the UK. If he did come, I would be very, very pleased. He was definitely one of my favourites. He didn't make my top 8 or top 10 last year, but I still kind of really like this guy, and I think he would fit really well in almost anybody's haunt. So if he did come to Costco, very exciting. My third prediction is a prop that I really, really enjoyed. In fact, last year for a period of time, it was my number one prop. It was one prop that I was almost certain I was going to buy this prop until the 10-foot Reaper came out from Costco, which completely changed my mind last year. There's nothing, I'm not basing this on any fact or anything. It's more of a wish and a hope, this more than anything. But again, it's a Morris Costumes prop. There is a chance that this or something very similar to this might appear on Costco's shelves this year. And that is the Graveyard Host. Now, if you remember my review of the Graveyard Host last year, when I first saw this guy, he absolutely blew me away. I loved the height, I loved the detail. I've got a thing about graveyard-esque props. Anything that's linked to cemeteries and graveyards is always a big tick for me. He's holding a lantern, love a prop with a lantern. He's a really, really cool prop. And he's just on that borderline between really kind of almost gory and weird and scary, and then also at the same time not being overly terrifying and threatening, which is exactly the sort of area I think that Costco just about fills. This area of not being so terrifying that every child in the neighborhood goes home and has nightmares, but also not being so family friendly that they may as well have not even bothered. So they're the props that I think are the most likely that we might potentially see come to the UK this year. But I am just going to mention 2 more. And these are complete and utter pulling them out of the sky. These are dreams, absolute just fantasies, to be quite honest with you. I wouldn't say that either are impossible. And one in particular, I think there is at least some version of a possibility it could happen, but they are really kind of reaching to the extremes. So the first potential dreamscape prop that I think Costco may potentially bring to the UK is something that I've wanted to see on UK shores for a very long time, and as of yet haven't seen, and that is a 12-foot prop. Last year, Costco broke the mold by bringing 10-foot props to the UK, something that no mainstream store had ever done before. And this year, I think they might be prepared to push it just that one step further. And we may, possibly, potentially see our first ever 12-foot prop here on UK shores. And if it were so, if it happened, I don't know what that prop will be, but I think it would be a game changer for an awful lot of people. I know if you live in America, you've seen these 12-foot props for a while now. They're, you know, so what, 12 foot? Oh, we've got 15 props. I know. But here in the UK, we still haven't reached that milestone yet. I think the store to do it is Costco. I think if anyone's going to do it, Costco will do it. I think whatever this 12-foot prop ends up being will be on the more simplistic end of the scale. I'm imagining maybe something like the original 12-foot skeleton with maybe with digit eyes. Not overly animatronic, just a very big and imposing 12-foot prop. Possibly, potentially something like what Lowe's brought out last year in the form of the 12-foot mummy. Not overly exciting, not overly impressive, and there was all kinds of arguments last year about the quality of the 12-foot mummy. But I think in its own right, still a really good prop, and if it was brought by Costco, I think it would actually probably be a pretty good quality in its own right, and a prop worth buying. But it is a bit of a dream. My final prediction is less of a prediction and more of an absolute fantasy, to be quite honest with you. But nothing's impossible. If you'd have told me this time last year that we'd be seeing Headless Horseman props and 10-foot Reaper props coming out of Costco, I'd have probably laughed. But it happened. So it almost makes me think that anything's possible when it comes to Costco. And so with that being said, I think there is at least a slither of a chance that we could see one of the most epic props come to Costco ever. And that is Jack Stalker. If you've been with this channel for any length of time, you know that I love the Jack Stalker prop. I love it. I love everything about it. I've got a thing for Reaper props anyway, but he's just so massive and hulking, and those big yellow eyes and the sort of the skeletal frame holding the pumpkin's talking back to him. It's everything about it, for me, I find, is an absolutely epic prop. Now, I'm not saying that Costco will bring Jack Stalker to the UK. Maybe a variation of Jack Stalker, maybe something slightly stripped back, slightly more simplistic, maybe without the pumpkin, I don't know. But I don't think it's impossible that we could see a prop, if not Jack Stalker, very similar to Jack Stalker come to Costco UK. And if it did, that would be it. That would be mic drop moment, shut everything else out, that's the prop I'm getting. But it is a little bit of a fantasy. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys liked some of my predictions today. I think at least some of them have the potential to come true, and if they did, it would be a great year for Costco UK. So here's to looking forward to that, a magical moment. Thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Keep it spooky. Bye.